Rainbow Six Extraction is my first experience with a Rainbow game. I've seen promo of this game. It looks really cool, really exciting. So I was excited when I received a code from Ubisoft in my inbox. But is it accessible? Let's talk about it. I'm Kennedy from Dynamic Reactions, and welcome to the level where we strive to make games playable for all. Those of you that have been here know that this isn't my first time at the Ubisoft rodeo. It's actually my second time, but again, my first Rainbow Extraction game experience overall. As always, I'm gonna give my first impressions for my able-bodied people in the audience first, and then we're going to jump into the accessibility of the game. When I downloaded the game, the first thing I did was jump into the tutorials because, like I stated previously, I've never played a Rainbow game before, so this is all new territory for me. I did not know what to expect at all, but I wanted to jump in with a clean slate, and for me, my first thoughts were the graphics are super clean. It's pretty fun to kill the monsters when you can kill them, and the story is super fun. If you don't have any sort of motor issues or anything like that, or complete blindness that would hinder you from playing this game, I highly suggest you check it out. It's a cool adventure to chill out with in solo or with your friends. However, the accessibility is questionable. So let's get into it. As has become the standard of Ubisoft nowadays, when I opened the game, I got straight to the starting screen. What was scary was that there was no text-to-speech telling me to press the X button. But after I did press it, the accessibility menu was right there waiting for me. And then it got even scarier because there were only 3 options. Menu narration, only English, there were no other languages involved. And even stranger, the menu narration came through the controller speaker. I couldn't change where it came out of. Menu and subtitle language, of which the options were English, French, and Spanish, and spoken language, English, French, and Spanish. Then I noticed there was a next button, so I took a sigh of relief and I pressed the next button to find subtitle settings. The kind that I fell in love with in Far Cry 6 with the example picture for you to look at, brightness, as well as 3 different colorblind modes. Those included previews as well. Color safe, high contrast, and custom. You can choose whether or not to show audio pointers in your HUD. These take the place of sound subtitles I found and basically kind of show you where the enemy is behind you. You can change your chat text size ranging from small, medium, and large. I have a large setting right here for y'all to see. And there's also a large text option for the HUD, but there's no preview to show you what that looks like. And it's only an off and on option. There isn't varying sizes or anything like that. There's also a mute option. It's called record mode on or off, but it's basically a mute for whatever microphone you're using. And that's basically it for your comfort settings and the accessibility category as a whole. So I went and I looked underneath settings and general controls, video, audio, etc. And I found that the accessibility options are underneath there as well. I found that they have text-to-speech chat as well as different volume levels for your voice record and players, mute by default, crossplay on and off, etc. But when you get to the controls section of the menu, you get a bunch of different options as to how to handle your controls. You can enter your drone view on deployment on or off. You can handle your React tech deployment in an advanced way or standard way, which is basically a fancy way of saying hold or press. There's a toggle and hold option for your chat wheel. You can also adjust your joystick sensitivity, your vertical and horizontal settings, your left stick and your right stick sensitivity. And you also have controller look and version settings, aim, hold, and toggle settings, and aim assistance, which does not have multiple strength settings. It just has a description of light, and they really do mean light aim assistance when fighting your NPC monsters. You also have an option to turn on and off your vibration and adaptive trigger effects to your liking. The last few settings in that section being the change of the camera turn curve and controller remapping and aim down sight controller sensitivity. The remapping is very nice. You can pretty much remap every single action that you have to do in the game to the buttons that you like. Aim down sight's controller sensitivity is available, which also allows you to control how much magnification you have on the different scopes in game, which is nice for sight challenge players. The interface menu starts out with your HUD settings, which include your visibility settings for your loadout buttons, score tracker, and ping crosshairs. There's also a more in-depth accessibility menu underneath the HUD settings. Why they chose to put this in the general settings menu as opposed to the accessibility tab, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But you have more in-depth subtitle settings here. You can change your subtitle text size like we discussed earlier, and you can also change your subtitle colors with the color wheel, subtitle background opacity, and you can also go down to your custom site colors. And if you have your colorblind mode set to custom, you can change every single color in your HUD, including the colors of your friends. The video settings are pretty standard: resolution, frame rate, brightness, etc. Your audio settings contain individual volume settings for music, dialogue, and a master volume. You also have dynamic range settings, which can be set to hi-fi, TV, or night mode. And there's also an option to enable or disable the enemy detection audio cue from your threat sensor in game for those of us who are hard at hearing. That's pretty much it for the settings menu. Now let's get into the gameplay. And of itself, as someone who struggles with first-person shooters because the mechanics aren't friendly to someone who isn't able to move their fingers as fast as an able-bodied person would, when it comes to first-person shooters and how fast enemies attack normally, they aren't a game that I can necessarily play. And that was until Far Cry 6 came into existence. Far Cry 6 was the first ever FPS game I ever played. And at first, when I started to review Rainbow, because I was not as familiar with the game and its gameplay, I wanted to make sure I had down exactly what type of game Rainbow Six was. Is this a competitive co-op? Were we focusing on story? Or were we kind of juggling both? In one case, I could sort of see where you would allow yourself not to have the same accessibility as Far Cry 6, for example. Far Cry 6 is a heavily story-based game. The first-person shooting aspect is the only gameplay mechanic used to push forward the story, but overall you play Far Cry 6 for the chaotic gameplay, not necessarily a competitive nature. When I blindly opened Rainbow Six, I decided to do some Google research afterwards, and I kind of went into it saying, oh, this is a co-op game, a little competitive. Okay, I see why we don't have that much accessibility here in the same sense. I went and I saw that there was a solo mode though. You can go through all the missions in a solo mode, and I said there's room for accessibility here because you aren't competing, you aren't in an esports setting, and even if you didn't want the accessibility settings, you don't have to have them, you can just turn them off. So I started judging it based off the principles of Far Cry 6, which if you haven't seen my review, the accessibility settings were thorough and great for motor challenge players and disabled players alike. So reviewing the game based off that scale, there are a ton of changes they can make to the game to make it more accessible. Most of the aliens in this game are darkly colored and hard to see, which is why enemy outlines would be helpful in the situation that you are in, and there's no option for that. There's no way to adjust the size of waypoints in game either to help blind players or players who have trouble seeing see their waypoint better. There's no sort of audio navigation system if you are completely blind, making it unplayable for completely blind players on that end of the blindness spectrum, something that Ubisoft failed to implement in Far Cry 6 as well. The aim assist and auto aim could be a lot stronger and have more detailed settings. There's also no difficulty settings. Like, you go through the different mission sectors and it just says moderate to hard or whatever the next level is. Moderate is the lowest setting you have. I did attempt to play through the New York mission 2 times. The second time I got to my objective, we were headed towards the exit. I snuck past a monster, then proceeded to kill the next one in the next room, only to have one run up behind me and kill me almost instantly, which therein lies the problem, along with not having auto aim, is that the monsters kill you so quickly. You don't have time to turn around and shoot and back up while you're shooting. It's that same chaotic sense in other PS games that you have if you have motor delays, and there are no settings catered to you. Would I recommend this game if you have motor delays? No, I would not. If you have full use of your hands and full capability with your controllers, I say give it a try. Accessibility is different for everyone, but would I recommend this for someone who has CP like me and kind of rigid fingers under pressure? No. I feel that overall this game could learn a couple of things from Far Cry 6, considering it comes from the same company. This shows that not all dev teams are the same and don't necessarily think the same when it comes to their particular game and the accessibility of the game and how it affects the message of their game. Rainbow Six seems like a really cool series, but I can't necessarily put my hands on it. To all those that can, I hope that y'all have fun. It seemed like a really cool experience from the little bit that I have played. However, it's not something that I can pick up in the foreseeable future just because my needs are not met in these settings as they are right now. If Ubisoft decides to make changes, I'll be happy to do an update review, but for now, Rainbow Six is low on the accessibility spectrum for Ubisoft. Thanks for hanging out for this review. Y'all, tell me what you think about Rainbow Six. If you're a disabled gamer, tell me some hurdles that you ran into. Was there anything that I missed in the comments down below? Are you enjoying the game? I want to know everything. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We do accessibility game reviews here on this channel a lot. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And don't forget that you deserve accessibility that's on the level. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.